What's going on? We are here, ABJ Podcast, Not Cool in High School Edition, episode 143, because we love you. The Terminator 2 with Sonny Defarge. We're super excited for this one. YouTube memberships are back up and running. Want to thank our world champ, Freak Maniac, and our Grand Slam champ, Raz. You can join the memberships down below and get some cool free perks. Make sure you check out the links below to follow all things ABJ, whether it be following on social media, grabbing some cool merchandise, and also supporting tonight's guest. So, we said we'll be back, and here we are. Terminator 2, let's get it going. Not Cool in High School. Here's some music by the Converse Kid. What is going on? We are back. Not Cool in High School on the ABJ Podcast, High Tension Wrestling Network. I'm not going to waste much time. We're going to get into it right away, but this is going to be the episode 143 for Terminator 2, and I'm joined here again by my co-host for this Terminator series, Mr. Defarge himself. Here we are. We're doing the sequel.
Here we are.
And here's one thing I'm going to say right off the bat from this sequel. Sometimes the sequel's always better. You know, I've done a couple of these movie reviews, and we're going to flip this script. We're going to try something different when it comes to the future of this content and how we go about doing things and how we review movies and content. And this is going to be the rebirth of that. We're going to try something a little different. There's a whole bunch of new content coming to the channel. I don't know if you've got to check out any of the 5 questions with ABJ stuff I've been doing, where it's like 5 questions and it's mostly based on your goals and things you want to accomplish in your industry or in your life in general. And I kind of been doing those. I actually was inspired to also do Not Cool in High School versions where it's like, what's your favorite movie? And like, I have 5 questions that are more pop culture related, where it could be video games or movies. So when I'm out and about recording this content, if you don't want to talk about yourself or your goals, you have that option. Then we have an option for horror. We have an option for beer. We have an option for blazing buds. So I've made different styles content for 5 questions, as well as reformatting the way the podcast is. I got this. Now my guest gets a link sent to them or a little photo of like the layout of the show where I feel my guests are going to be better prepared. I don't know. I'm trying new things out. It's been 6 years. I think I had to like spice it up a little.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, I appreciate you coming back on and continuing this journey on this sci-fi noir adventure.
Tech
noir.
Tech noir.
Tech noir. Yep. I didn't learn anything.
Nope. F minus.
F minus. But here we are, Terminator 2. So, I mean, it goes without saying, we kind of talked about this. This is one of your favorite franchises, favorite movies. Where does Terminator 2, without spoiling future Terminator episodes, where does this one rank when it comes to the rest?
This is number 1. Period. There's no thoughts, no doubt about it. This of the franchise, this one is the best one. Period.
So we're peaking here when it comes to these reviews.
Yeah, yes. If you said, "Hey, I can't have you on anymore after this," like, sorry. Well, we did Terminator 2 then. At least we did.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But there's a lot of detractors out there for the ones that come after this in general, where people just argue that 3 through forever shouldn't have been made. And I disagree. I think they're still fun. I think they're still great. They all have their ups and downs and their positives and their negatives and whatever. 2 is just the best one.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to bury my lead and answer this question now, so I'm gonna tiptoe around it without getting into it. But I want to kind of we'll start off a little bit with the beginning. Right away, we're back to that future scene, right? And this is one of the big takeaways that I have for me when it comes to my favorite parts and stuff is just like the beginning opening sequence of them fighting in the future and the spaceships and the technology and everything going at it. Like, this movie is very almost sequential, shot for shot, scene for scene, style for style of the original. They didn't really deviate a lot from what the style of the movie is.
Nope, they had it worked. And this time around, he had a budget and a schedule, and it worked. So why break it?
Yeah. We're back to skulls. Skulls everywhere.
Everywhere.
Get the skulls. We need skulls crushed under things. We need skulls in car seats. We need bones. It reminds me of crush all the bones of the what is it? I think you should leave. Where he's like, "Come on, Scrooge, we got to go back and fight the Bone Army." Like it's like,
well, they're all dead now because they got run over by hunter killers and all that. So no more Bone Army.
Now, going forward with the franchise, once again, I have not seen anything past this movie. I seen this movie so long ago that it was like a fresh watch for me. So everything going forward, I don't know. But I will say this: watching this movie and diving into this franchise, I kind of want more of what happens in the future, because I think that future bit is probably a super expensive movie to make, but it's almost like a secondary movie that you're like, if you're a Star Wars guy and you're like, all right, this modern day stuff, the technology coming back and fighting into what we now know today, but you see the gun lasers and the ships and that mech and everything that's going on there, you're like, that could be its own standalone movie, and I think I'd be into it.
You get one.
You get one future movie?
You get one. And it's fine. I think I love it as a completely different genre. Okay. It's part of the Terminator franchise, obviously, but it's a complete departure from what we just talked about, that formula. It's a complete departure from that. And it makes it its own movie. It's like a futuristic post-apocalyptic war movie that happens to be in the Terminator universe.
Gotcha.
And I like it a lot.
It's like Assassin's Creed. You play the Assassin's Creed games and you almost forget that you're a modern day person using technology to relive the past, and you're kind of living through their brain. But then you're like, oh, well, this guy has all these effects of the bleed and he's gonna get all these traits in modern time now, and you're wondering how this created modern time, and you kind of want a modern version of Assassin's Creed, but if you depart from that, will it be as good? Yeah, I don't know. That a lot of the Terminator stuff when it comes to movies and video games, and not movies, but more video games than comic book, I think they more lean on that futuristic war side and not so much modern today. So if that's an itch you need to scratch in the Terminator universe, you're probably better off going that route when it comes to the video game media.
I agree.
Yeah.
And between now and when we review that movie, if you'll ever have me on again.
Oh, we're doing it. Yeah, we're locked in.
I would love to have gotten and played through Terminator Resistance, which is all about just the future and the resistance and that story. And then maybe there's some fun comparisons and stuff we could do there. I don't know how much of a gamer you are. I have no time to game, but I'm going to try to figure it out.
I'm struggling with this new job and finding time for these movies. I'm not complaining though, because I love the new job. Paychecks are going to be good when they start rolling in. Nice to have some bread in the wallet. Yeah, it's nice to have cash in the wallet. So one of the big things. Now we're gonna get a little weird here. This is my stupid brain. Maybe this is problematic, and if it is, I apologize. We're gonna start this movie off. Porter opens up. The term. Oh, I just say he already quit. He's like, I'm out of here. I don't want to get canceled. No, you're back. You're back.
Oh man.
Terminator goes into this. He comes back. However they go about doing it, because the last time in the movie, the technology they used to send 2 Terminators back has been destroyed. Somehow that has been rebuilt. We're back, and Arnold.
Has it though?
I don't know. We don't know. They don't really say it. They just kind of let you know as the audience that this has happened before and it's happening again. They don't really give you much explanation on why or how or what, but here it is. And Arnold comes back in, and once again, naked. He's ready to go. Naked Arnold. If he's working that hard in his body, we're showing it off, damn it. And he's gonna pop into this bar, and he's gonna walk up to these really, really masculine bikers and do all this and kind of like, give me your shit, and they're just gonna kind of, give him some issues. Here's where my brain goes, and if it's problematic, I'm sorry. They create this hyper realistic Terminator. Do they give it genitals?
Oh yes, 100%. You see them in the first one.
Yeah,
you see them in T1. If he didn't have them, wouldn't people in that bar be looking at him a little more sideways than they already were?
Yeah. Now, the way the women were looking at him, were they impressed with the muscles, or were they impressed with the Terminator junk?
Probably a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Yeah,
I would say, just
we're here already.
just based on the amount of we got in the shadows in the first one. Definitely a little bit of both.
Yeah. So I'm on team there is genitals, because I feel if there was none, they would comment on it. Like, where's your genitals, man?
Right.
Like,
why do you look like a Ken doll?
Yeah, what's going on down there? But also, when it comes to the size, I feel like if it was really, really impressive, I don't think the guy has the confidence to out in the cigar on him. You know what I mean? Because he already rolls in, he's muscular, he's swanging, and you're gonna out in a cigar on him. So I think when they built it, like, I feel like there's one or two ways. You either build nothing or you build something. You know what I mean? And I think they went modest. I think they went like, oh, this is impressive, but it's not over dramatic, you know?
Right. It was probably a matter of, you got to think it's an infiltrator, right? It was probably a matter of, okay, here's how tall he is. Here's the kind of build that we're giving him. And they're going to do all this math and this biology crap. And they're going to say, here's how wide his shoulders are. And here's how long his femurs are. And we're going to do this. And here's the width of his thigh muscles and his, the femurs themselves. So naturally, based on averages and the math that we're going to do, 11 and a half inches, 11 and a half inches. That's,
and that's how this movie review starts. And this is why you're one of my favorite guests, because we can go there.
I did the math already. That's why I know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's an infiltrator, so he's got to. If it's too much, it's gonna throw people off. If it's not there, it's gonna throw people off. But they got to make it just impressive enough that if he's got to sleep with somebody to get to John Connor, he could.
Yeah. They're gonna remember it. Yeah.
Yes, because they're gonna probably get murdered.
Yeah. So once again, very stylistic of this movie. So when it comes to some favorite parts, I'm all over the place here. But we'll kind of bounce back and forth on this first question, and we can bury the lead on certain things in the future. But if you only have one, you can say one. If you have a few, we can kind of bounce back and forth. What are some of your favorite parts of this movie?
Oh my! So from the opening credits to the end credits, like that's first of all, that's my favorite part. Is from the opening credits to the end credits. But if I had to nail down like a couple of scenes that always stick out to me, that I'm always psyched to watch whenever I do my annual watch of this movie, or several.
Well, real quick, this will now contain spoilers if you haven't seen this movie for the past 20 years. Yeah. Yes. So just putting that out there.
Cameras to the left. Yes. Yeah. Spoilers from here on out. Hit mute, turn it off, whatever. Actually, go watch it right now.
Dude, I would recommend it.
If you haven't seen the first one, look up the synopsis and then watch the second one. The full title is Terminator 2 Judgment Day. There you go.
For the listeners listening in their cars, we both went with pretty fun ideas with t-shirts for today. So you're wearing the Arnold Classic. Oh. Yeah. So you're rocking an Arnold shirt, and I am wearing a Judgment Day t-shirt.
I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think about that.
That was calculated.
Right. I wore my only other short sleeve Terminator shirt for the last one. I couldn't wear that one again.
Yeah.
Then I have the tank top that's white that says "Chill Out, Dickwad" on it.
That's a good one.
Which is a quote from Terminator 2.
Yeah.
And the only other Terminator shirt that I have, unfortunately, there are so many in my cart right now on so many websites. The only other one that I have is a long sleeve, like a sweater, and it's 950 degrees in Northeast Ohio right now, and it's 200% humidity. So I'm like, I'm not wearing that, but I was like, wait a minute, I got this. So I threw this on.
I love that. I'll tell you what, I will, after now watching at least 2 of these movies, and we are now committed to this going forward, I'm gonna go out and actively look up a Terminator t-shirt. I'm going to own my own Terminator t-shirt.
Cool. You tell them that I sent you, so they'll give me commission on that.
100%. For Terminator 3, I'll make Sonny I'll make you a Senator Defarge one. Oh yeah, so we have the logos that we sent you. Each one is like a different variant. So we gave you now the Terminator 2 with the white and the line. I think it's pretty dope. Maybe I'll just get a print of that T-shirt and I'll wear your shirt for that.
Works for me.
Yeah, I like that. Another thing I forgot to do, because once again, this is the beginning, and I'm already messing up my own formula. I'm breaking all the rules of content. Terminator 2. It is a 1991 American sci-fi action film directed by James Cameron, who Wisher wrote the score, the script. He co-wrote it with him, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamlin, Robert Patrick. The sequel to Terminator 1984 and the second installment to the Terminator franchise. It is going to be the malviolent artificial intelligence Skynet sends a Terminator highly advanced killing machine back in time to 1995 to kill the future leader of the human resistance, John Connor, when he is a child. The resistance sends back a less advanced reprogrammed Terminator to protect Connor to ensure the future of humanity. Running time 137 minutes. It was released in July 1st, 1991 in Century City. July 3rd, 1991 in the United States, distributed by TriStar Pictures. And the budget for this one was $94 million to $102 million, and box office made $519 to $520.9. Wanted to get those little facts out too. So yeah. Now for me, a scene that really like stuff that I really like is I feel like this new villain, this new Terminator, this new liquid version of Terminator, really, I feel like the actor who plays him and the way he's portrayed in this movie,
Robert Patrick.
Yeah, Robert Patrick has to go down as one of the greatest movie villains and the most iconic and memorable movie villains of all time. Like this,
and he worked his ass off for it.
Solidifies him as he's embedded into pop culture lexicon forever with this movie and this scene. The bar is set, and I don't know if it's ever going to be matched. Like, I think Terminator 2, with just that casting alone and the way that character was done, you can't beat it. Like, and if you beat it, you killed it. You know what I mean? Like, even Arnold is chasing this bar going forward. Like, he took Arnold's villain last movie and doubled down and crushed it. Yeah. That's definitely stood out to me. That's the biggest takeaway for me so far with favorite things in this movie.
And he worked his ass off for the part, because you see all those running scenes that he does.
Yeah.
And he trained for that specifically to run because he didn't want to look silly on camera. So he just trained to do long distance sprinting and to do it while only breathing through his nose.
Yeah, because he didn't want to look like he was overexerted. Because he's running straight face, like zero emotion in his face. And then when he does stop running, he's not like he's cyborg. He's thinking cyborg in mind.
Yeah, and by the time they got to filming, he had to slow down because he was legitimately catching Edward Furlong, John Connor, riding the dirt bike. He was catching him because he was running as fast as the dirt bike.
Yeah, his hard work paid off because he is cemented as, I think, one of the greatest horror movie or not horror movie, but just and antagonists, I guess would be the word to say there, like villains, the bad guy in the movie. If yours a Mount Rushmore, he's got to be on that list. And if he's not, like you're probably like, he's got to be high up on that list. He's super high. He's got to be super high.
I think it would have to be a niche Mount Rushmore for sure. Last period of all time, but definitely like sci-fi, action villains for sure. I don't want to disrespect any other genres or nothing. Yeah, because there's definitely a lot of good villains out there. Yeah. But like, and his deadpan everything, and he smiles one time, and it's the most unsettling thing in the whole movie. And it's just great. It's just, and he's just looking around like an eagle.
Yeah. Okay. You almost forget as the watcher of what the Terminators are seeing and how they're scanning and what all their technology can do, because they don't let you in on that all the time. You see with Arnold sometimes where he's like, oh, I can see the vitals, I can see this. He sees when he's driving the truck, oh, that's him in the helicopter. Like you almost forget that they're not seeing things the way we're seeing things. It's very like funny because in that time technology, it's amazing, but to us it looks like the shitty VR Game Boy that no one liked, you know?
Yeah, the Virtual Boy. I think that's what it was.
Virtual Boy. Yeah.
Where everything is red. That's Terminator Vision. That's Terminator Vision.
Any other scenes that stand out, or any other things about this movie that would stand out as some favorite parts?
Oh, firstly, the nuclear detonation scene, the nightmare scene, where Sarah's asleep and she dreams of it. She walks to the fence and she sees the people, and it's the ultimate nightmare. She's moving in slow motion and she's screaming, but there's no noise coming out, and she's banging on the fence telling everybody to run away, even though it's a nuclear blast. And then the blast just goes off middle of Los Angeles, takes down all these buildings, and then these people are then blown away like burnt leaves, as she says in her little speech, which I'll get to that in a second too, because that's my other one that I'm going to talk about. And then she gets blown away, and the like just how visceral that is, because you see buildings just get peeled apart, and you see all this stuff, and like everything gets burnt and then hit and then just toasted, and then the blast wave hits it. And she's describing this earlier in the movie, so you know what you're looking for already too. And all this stuff happens. The US military praised James Cameron for making this, said on TV and film and everything, that is the most realistic depiction of what it would look like if a nuclear bomb went off in the middle of a heavily populated area like that.
Wow.
And like that, and they built that. That was props. That was practical. They built little houses out of crackers and wheat. That's not a joke. It sounds like it's a joke, but it's not a joke. They built little houses out of crackers and wheat, and they would film it from a couple of different angles, blow it up, take a day to reset it, film it from a couple of different angles, blow it up. Like,
it's just impressive.
Incredible.
And to kind of like almost kind of go back to the scene of that is it really sets a tone of why Sarah has lost her mind. Like a lot of people when they watch movies are like, I don't understand why the character is acting the way they're acting or doing what they do, and it's like their life has been changed. Like the future has come back, and they know things of humanity that nobody else knows, and they don't see the world through the same glasses and the same spectrum everybody else sees. She's haunted by the fact that the apocalypse is coming, and her son is the only person that's going to be the resistance to whatever left is in humanity. So she, of course, like she went crazy, and the way she kind of depicts going crazy and being so dead, like I don't give a shit about anything right now. Like my priority is right now. Like I think that scene really sets a tone of why she is who she is, and it was beautifully done.
Yeah. Like tying all that together is the tape scene where they're watching the tape where she's talking to Dr. Silberman, and she's describing the whole thing. She's describing that nightmare, and like there's the sweaty, distraught Sarah on the screen that, and the screen is all like distorted, and she's all dark, and like she looks dirty, even though she's probably just sitting there in this clean hospital, because that's what VHS tapes looked like at the time. And then it's contrasted by this super clean, like bright, pale, like terrible bangs Sarah Connor smoking a cigarette, watching herself on the screen with her goddess-like lips, just smoking a cigarette, just watching this screen while she's going through this. The reason she loses her mind, it's the Cassandra paradox, where you know the future, but no one's going to believe you. Yeah, you know the future. You can do everything there. You can do everything in your power to solve it, but no one's going to believe you. That's old school, and it's easy to use, and just that performance on that tape, that monologue or speech or whatever you want to call it, where she's just going through the whole thing and gradually losing her mind more and more and more. You can feel it. Like, she has had this dream probably every night for 9-10 years. Yeah. And now she's been separated from her son. Now she's at Pescadero State Hospital, and she's got to deal with idiot Dr. Silberman and his bald head every day. She's just trying to get moved to minimum security so that she can get John in there, have a little chat with him, like, hey, I'm not crazy, which even he thinks she's crazy. Yeah. Well, he's like walking around with the staff, just like kind of trashing her and making fun of her. And Did you watch the extended version?
I don't think so. I might have. I don't know. Whatever's on Vudu is the one I watched.
Is there? I can tell you right now. Did you see Kyle Reese in this movie?
No.
Michael Biehn, Kyle Reese. Okay, because that's the extended version. Because she has several dreams in the extended one, and Kyle Reese, Michael Biehn, Kyle Reese is in it. They had him there, cast in the long brown coat and the stuff he stole from the store and all that stuff. He was there. He filmed scenes, and they were just like, cutting him for.
Yeah.
But there's also a scene where one of the guards that they're talking to, he has them go in and like beat her up. That might actually be in the regular version.
He licks her face.
Yes.
It insinuates that when she's under comatose that he may be taking advantage of patients.
Okay. But so I think that right when he's walking around with the staff and he's looking through the window and he's talking to her, there's a point to all this, I promise. And he's talking about her.
Mm-hmm.
When those people walk away, two of the guards come up, including Homie with the big glass. And because she's doing pull-ups on her bed frame, he's I don't like when the patients mess with their rooms like that. So, deal with that. And they go in and they beat her up and they like shock her. They like tase her and force her to take meds, like throw it in her mouth and do the whole like cover her face thing. It's the guy that she makes him lay on the floor and hold the door open later in the movie. Spoilers. And the guy with the glasses, it's them. And in that scene, they had to do it so many times because glasses wouldn't hit her hard enough, which ended up almost injured. I think it almost hurt her because of the number of times that they were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So later in the movie, this is just another one of my favorite scenes for this. Later in the movie, when she's got the broken broomstick and she's beating him with it, she is beating him with it as a receipt of like, here's how you do this.
Yeah. So I don't have to do 100 scenes of you playing around. Yeah.
Yep. I'm gonna hit you just a couple of times, make them count.
And I think for how much we gave credit to the baddie of the movie and how great he did as this villain, like it's not to shy away from how amazing Sarah Connor's character is portrayed in this and how she's amazing. Yeah. And then like even John, like the kid who plays John does a great job. Arnold really finds himself as an actor in this where towards the end, he's no longer like this cyborg. He becomes kind of funny and he has some dialogue and he becomes kind of like every character, every main guy in this film, our main person in this film really sets a tone. Like we said, like this is the peak of this franchise. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
The dirt bike scene in the LA River, crazy cool. Like it really sets the tone of how scary this villain is. He's gonna jump a truck off a bridge to get to you. Like it really sets that tone of like this Terminator is not Arnold where he's walking at you, he's Undertakering at you. He is full-blown running zombie, nothing you can do to stop him. You're in trouble this movie. Like you are uneasy every time he's on screen, and that dirt bike scene sets that tone.
Yeah, this thing is literally made of liquid.
Yeah.
He does not have to do the infiltrator gimmick anymore once he sees you. It's over. He's not being sneaky. He's not trying to do. I mean, I guess the T800, the Arnold version in the first, once he saw you, once he acquires you, like that's it.
He's more brute force, where this one's brute force and agility.
Yes, this one adds speed to it and stabby stuff. Lots and lots of stabbing. Just so much.
That kind of leads into my next one. The first time you see the liquid knife in this with the mom, when he's talking to the mom, and then Arnold's like, "What's your dog's name?" And he says, and then he's like, "Oh, the dog," and he says like the wrong name, and he's like, "Your mom's dead. Your parents are dead. Yeah, your foster parents are dead." And then it cuts back, and the blade is through the milk container, through the head. I was like, that looks so sick. Like,
which like cool... Todd was a dick, but like I don't know they deserve that.
Yeah, the guy was just trying to drink some milk.
Max, the dog, extended version, the T1000 kills the dog.
Oh,
that's how he knows to move on and like keep going, because you don't see him kill the dog. It is implied that he kills the dog and he grabs the collar and it says, and he's basically just like, well. That doesn't say woofy. Like
he's like, whoops. That's so the scene essentially says, without saying, the extended scene is, oh, he's on to me. He knows that they're not coming here. because
Yep.
he knows I got the dog's name wrong.
Yep. And
Gotcha.
it's a very, and you would assume that as the T-1000, he's going to be thinking like, why'd they just hang up?
Yeah.
Because they just hang up out of nowhere, gone. And he thinks he's talking to John.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to go, okay, something's wrong. What did I just say? Dog. Got it. Dog. Where's the dog? You're not Wolfie. You're Max. Damn it.
Yeah, he got me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it. Yeah, it's a good scene. I
Yeah.
like that. That adds another layer.
Yeah.
And just overall the entire movie, the liquid CGI of what they pull off is beautiful. Beautifully done.
Yep.
I mean, just to kind of like off the top of my head, ones that really, really stand out is, where he morphs from the floor, where he morphs through like through the elevator and pries it open, where he goes through the bars and the gun gets stuck and he has like that small little detail that little I feel like only
like it's and James Cameron got to have his test run of it with The Abyss. If you've not seen James Cameron's The Abyss, see it, because it's in The Abyss, it's water effects, because there's this big like submarine crew and stuff, and it's water effects. Spoilers, I guess, but it's what he wanted in the first movie as like a second Terminator, or what he wanted the actual Terminator to be, and he was going to use like claymation, and he was like, we can't do this. This isn't going to work. So he got to finally save up, build that reputation, do it in this movie, and kill it.
Yeah. When he's being shot and the faces and the heads are being liquefied, but then even like when it gets super practical where he's getting shot and you can see it looks like just dinner plates taped to his t-shirt. Yeah.
One of my favorite shots in the movie is the end in the steel mill. It's an overhead shot, and it's Sarah with the shotgun, and she's just unloading into him. But from overhead, you can see that it's going right through him.
Yeah.
And because it's got, the dust effect and all that. And I just love that shot, those little details and stuff like that, because he's liquid. It's just.
Yeah. 100. Another one for me that was a shot that it's like, man, they pulled that off in 91 and it looked that good, is where she in the same thing. So I actually have in my thing the heavy machinery stuff at the end in the foundry is one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. Just how they pulled off CGI, special effects, practical effects, everything. His arm being stuck in the gears and then ripping the arm out, like really cool stuff in that last scene. And one of the ones that got me is where she shoots him and his head opens and they do a full pan shot where the camera goes through, looks through the hole in his head at Sarah. And it's just like, that's just James Cameron being cocky at that point.
Like, they're just showing off, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when you watch that as a film goer, you're like, because when I watch a movie, I go like, all right, like if I had a video camera, I can set up this shot. But then you have a shot like that, you're like, how did you do that? like in 91 and made it look
1991.
And it still stands the time in 2024.
Yeah.
Now the technology and where he predicted the timing of the future, not so great. But the CGI, he's ahead of the curve in 91.
Very.
Yeah.
Just his ideas alone, let alone executing them. And just the idea of, okay, how many twins can we cast in this movie to make this work?
Yeah.
Because the cop getting his coffee where it comes out of the floor, that's a set of twins.
Oh, really? That wasn't like a double shot.
Nope. Those twins, you can actually find them in a number of different movies too. Mom and Dad Save the World, for example. But
I
also,
like how the second twin does the deadpan. Like, even though he's portraying a different character, the actor who plays the Terminator in a different body, different skin, that twin did a good job of being like, oh, that's the creepy dude in the Terminator, because he almost shuts off the emotion in his face.
Yeah. And even the final scene, or not the final scene, but even in the climactic scenes, Linda Hamilton's twin sister. So, and anytime they have it, you're the one that's closest to the camera, that's Linda Hamilton. The one that's in the background is Leslie. Gotcha. So then when they switch angles, they switch their places also. But like pulled her in there so that they could do that scene without having to rely on special effects or CGI or timing or any camera tricks. They were just like, oh, you have a twin? Lucky. Call her.
So I do have this set up as favorite part, and the next segment would be what are things that stood out, and I feel like they're one and the same. So I think going forward, I may have to adjust this. But when and the things I said that stood out was the two universes. That was the big thing we already kind of touched on. And then another thing that kind of questioned me a little bit watching it when Sarah's in the asylum. Is she in the asylum so she's not near John and they can be in two different places at two different times? Was she legit committed? Because it also seemed like when she realized that John's probably coming because the Terminators are here because now they're being talked about in the news and things are now going into motion, she almost knows like, all right, I guess now I have to break out. And she knows exactly how to do it. She's already had it planned. She knows. So it's almost kind of like, is she crazy? But also, did she put herself there for a reason? Because she was so easily able to get out as well.
I think I would argue she was planning this escape, but she wanted to do things the right way first because she was legitimately arrested. She was trying to blow up a computer factory or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She probably figured out the roots of Skynet and was like, I'm gonna blow that shit up, and got caught. And the puzzling thing is she does get out so easily. So why didn't she do it before?
Yeah.
But I think it was timing. I think timing was a little coincidental of, okay, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get out of here. And that just happens to be the day that they show up. Yeah. That's potentially one thing that I would say I don't like is that's a little coincidental because she doesn't know what's going on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I'm mistaken, you did just say she hears about it on the news.
Well, they come in the room and they're like, they come in the room and she's deadpan and she's not speaking and she's not showing any emotion. Almost like to her is like, if I show them, like, she can't even be like, haha, I told you so. She has to no sell it. She's like, yeah. And then she just shuts off emotion because now in her head,
right. Yes.
Because she has to steal the paperclip.
That's what she's saying, the paperclip. Yes.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
Right. It's so that does make way more sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still being the exact moment that they get there is when she's getting out.
Yeah.
It's a little like,
so
what are the odds, James?
Well, I'll get to this when we get to the least favorites, but I don't want to be that guy, but there are certain things about action movies in general that I'm like, but I'm also a horror movie guy. And when they do in horror, I'm like, cool. You know what I mean? So it's your genre. It's your genre.
No, we're going to nitpick where we can nitpick. It's fine.
100%. That's coming up soon. But some other things I definitely think that stood out are favorites, or things I want to talk about discussion wise. Was the as he says in the movie, the more I'm around humans, the more I'm gonna develop and the better I'm gonna become. And this is going to kind of tie into each other when it comes to this as well, because it's kind of like a three-parter. But like the keys, when he smashes the thing and he hot wires the car, and he's like, check the visor. People put their keys in the visor, and then as they're breaking out in the police van, he doesn't say anything. He's just like, I learned that. Like, or he's using the lexicon better. He's using his words better. He's not talking so robotic. I like the very end when he has that a bit of emotion. He's just like, hey, like I've grown attachment to you. Like technology and humans, they're showing that they're one and the same and they can work together. Like that aspect of the movie that was really cool for me. But then also the battle between the older model and the newer model. So I'm going to kind of throw this to you of what do you think the older model has that the newer model maybe skipped out on that allowed the older model to be able to even stand a chance against this new highly technology, like just a clearly better killing machine, but still struggled against this older model that it's kind of like outdated, probably not being used.
Well, it's just obsolescence in technology in general. You know, you're going to continue to upgrade. You're going to continue to make things better. You're going to continue to move. And in this case, they have potentially the ultimate killing machine. The only thing that it's lacking is ranged weapons of any kind.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need him if he can infiltrate, and he can infiltrate anywhere because he can look like anything. And then once he gets in there, he is an unstoppable combat machine with machine strength, with machine speed. And that machine speed doesn't come from the T800 model. The T800 model is a big, bulky. It's a Lamborghini versus a Hummer.
Yeah.
You know, if they're power, the Hummer's going to win. But now make the Lamborghini out of amorphous liquid that can reform into a Lamborghini whenever it wants. Now the Lamborghini is going to win.
Yeah.
You know, and then if it wants, the Lamborghini can also turn into a Hummer and do what it has to do. Of course, there's, the science questions of mass and all that stuff, because it's going to be the same mass regardless. But who knows what kind of technology that is. So what are you recording this on right now?
Computer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So is the camera in your computer, or is it a specific
secondary camera? Yeah.
So take that secondary camera, go 15 models previous to that camera. What is this video going to look like?
Like an old convenience store. Yeah.
Right.
Grocery, yeah. Security cam footage. Yeah.
Right. It's going to look like you're recording Sarah Connor talking about her bad nightmares. That's what it's going to look like. Like it's the newer model, whether it's cooler, whether it's actually better or not, it's going to have those improvements. It's going to have those things that make the old one obsolete.
Yeah.
Period. And so,
but I also think the reprogramming of the model, essentially, that was designed to kill Sarah in the first one, which is Arnold's model, like the Arnold T100. I'm sorry if I don't know the models right, but he
800.
also 800. He programmed it to also start developing human feelings, essentially, and that's where the other one was able to understand human feelings, where it was able to use to manipulate and infiltrate, how you said. But Arnold's model was so one-track minded on this needs to be done, but also grew attachment. And I think the reason, the robot knew the importance of why these people are there for the future and what the future became, and where the other one was just like, I don't care because I'm programmed not to. And I think that's another reason why the older model was better than the original model, because it had more of an overall, like how the movie Meg, or like how we talk about AI now, where AI can just dive into the internet, all the information's there from every single angle, everything's infiltrated, and AI is unstoppable because it knows all. It knows the future, it knows the past, it knows the whys, it knows every angle of why things happen that we don't know. But this, it's almost like the newer model is the best killing machine, but it doesn't have all of the pieces to put everything together, because if it did, it could also not, it could turn almost like Arnold's does, where it's like, I'm fighting the wrong fight here almost.
Yeah. Now there's another piece there to that puzzle that you're missing, because it wasn't the extended edition, the director's cut, the special edition, whatever it's called. Sarah and John in that version, in the full length version, they had to turn that on. They had to do surgery and turn on the learning portion of his CPU.
Ah, okay.
So throughout the first bit of the journey, he's just taking order.
Yeah.
John tells him to do this, he does it. John tells him to do this, he does it. John tells him to do this, he does it. You can't kill people. Okay. You can't do this. Okay. Here's where the keys go. Okay.
Yeah.
Right before that scene where he says, "Are we learning yet?" is when they're hiding out in that garage. They do surgery on him.
Okay.
And there's a fun little flip. I almost don't want to spoil it for you, just so you can watch one day.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find the extended version now.
Yeah, there's the you see them pull out his CPU that's like identical to the one that they throw into the steel at the end, and then they have to literally flip a switch on it to turn it into learning mode. And then when they reboot him, the boot up looks different, and it's like, we're in learning mode now, we're not in just kill everything mode.
Yeah, it's berserk
and
mode.
so then it's I'm taking in more information. I'm taking in all of this. I'm trying to learn this. I'm trying to learn this. There's also a brilliant scene. This was going to be on my list of favorite scenes, but you didn't watch it. But there's a brilliant scene where John is trying to teach him how to smile. And it's
because he does
hilarious.
in the movie. Arnold smiles.
When he picks up that typically helicopter mounted minigun and he turns and he looks and he does that big stupid grin and
Trust
he's like,
me.
Yeah, that grin later on when it's trust me. That's the when you get a chance, unless you can do it right now really fast with no distractions, if you go to my real life Facebook and you look at my cover photo, it's him trying to smile. It's terrifying because he can't do it.
Yeah.
Because he takes a
someone's face
and he's like, do that.
Is a dude using a heavy turret gun, minigun on screen? Was that coined in this movie? Was that something that's ever really been showcased? Like Rambo probably did it, right?
Not with something of that, pardon the pun, caliber. It was the first time it was done was Jesse Ventura in Predator, which came before this, but I would not be surprised if it wasn't the same prop. But they literally had to dismount it from a helicopter.
Yeah.
And say, hey, this is going to be your everyday carry, Jesse Ventura.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of small things throughout this movie too with Terminator that you're like, pop culture pulls from this movie heavily going forward. Like this movie set the bar for a lot of. It's almost like when people are like, I hate the Beatles. I'm like, if you don't like the Beatles, then you can't appreciate a lot of other music because a lot of other music has been pulled because of the Beatles. Like Terminator 2 has a place as someone who's now diving into this franchise for the first time as a 37-year-old in 2024 and having such a vast knowledge of pop culture. Terminator 2 set the bar and was pulled from a lot when it comes to the future of not just action, not just sci-fi, not just horror, but like CGI and everything like that. It makes me appreciate James Cameron more.
Yeah. He invented so many techniques and you can't invent ideas, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And now he's just going and looking at the Titanic all the time. Come on, Jim.
Come on, my guy.
Get me the Terminator franchise.
Yeah. Least favorite.
There's almost too few. Like I gotta think really hard to even think of anything.
So I'll pose mine at you while you're thinking.
Yeah, no, throw it.
Not just the fact that he hacks into the most technological, like the little John Connor with a looks like a Game Boy Advance hacks into this Skynet, which is going to be the future of mass destruction when it comes to technologically advanced equipment. He hacks in with a Game Boy where did this kid learn how to do that aspect? Like, and where did he? I got it, guys. Like once, that bothered me.
You take care of the cops. I can open this.
Yeah, and the kind of
you don't know how advanced that card reader was.
Yeah, and the kind of the premise of the movie still has my head scratching. So the chip that is left by the Terminator in the first movie is the catalyst to essentially Skynet getting the technology to then destroy the world. So they sent robots to the past to save two people because they were the resistance, but in turn of sending them still created the future of them destroying the world. It kind of
it's right along the same vein.
Yeah,
it's right along the same vein as Kyle Reese is John Connor's dad, but if he doesn't send Kyle Reese back in time to save his mom, he can't bang his mom and conceive him. So I mean, basically the argument is all of this stuff has always happened, period. Yeah. But then how is that possible? It's the same time travel paradox you get with a lot of situations, but
it's almost like because time travel is invented, the problem is the time traveling aspect. because if time travel is not invented, then none of these events happen. But it's almost like the universe knew time travel was going to come, and the time traveling was going. It's almost like even they're just one and the same, and and that's hard for me to wrap my narrow mind around. That like the same action that's going to protect somebody is also the same action that's also going to be the launching point to the downfall of humanity as well.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, if they. Here's what my question is. One of the things that I think about is first movie. Skynet sends back Arnold. Arnold with the bowl cut, naked. He's there. Arnold finds Sarah Connor. Arnold kills Sarah Connor. So now is Skynet not made?
Yeah, because she destroys him, leaving behind the chip. And he can't self-terminate. So how is he going to? Yeah, because even if he can't self-terminate, because we learned in this one he can't do that.
Right.
So does he just like? How does he? Does he just go and like? What does he do with himself from now to the rest of humanity?
Now, spoilers. That question is answered.
Okay.
In a later movie.
Thank Jesus.
And the fun bit is, and I'll tell you this now because it's gonna rattle in your brain, and this is not an important enough question that you need to stress about it. Remember, he's made of living tissue on the outside.
Yes.
Including hair, bad breath, all that. That stuff ages because it's living tissue.
Gotcha.
So don't let that part get stuck in there. And have you go, here's this guy just walking around for 1,000 years looking the same. It ages. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Got you. The other thing that I was watching the movie, it gets to the machine. One of my favorite scenes, but I do have the one part that I just like, bro. And I guess I kind of figured out like what they were gonna do regardless. But I'm like, why don't they just Lord of the Rings this shit? Look at that molten lava. Take that ship, chuck it in, roll the credits. We're done here.
Done. They do.
I think it would have been a better ending if as a pro wrestling fan, is if she shoots him with a shotgun, he's teetering over the edge, and he's like, now you're dead. And then Arnold just runs up, Roman Reigns spears, Goldberg spears him into the lava, and they just both melt. But the thing is too, is like he says he can feel damage, but he doesn't really feel pain. And when the baddie enters the lava, it's screaming, it's going crazy. It kind of almost seems human, like it's feeling what it's going through. Yeah. But then when Arnold goes in, he kind of just throw a little love to your friend here. He throws a little Orange Cassidy up. He chucks up a half-ass thumbs up, and he's like, "See you later, hasta la vista, baby." And he sinks into the water.
That's the next Orange Cassidy shirt is the half thumb, and it's going into molten steel. But it's
Orange has done that scene.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched The Floor is Lava on Netflix?
No.
So they made a show that looks like an old school like Nickelodeon show where they set up a living room or some type like an attic or like some type of scenario. They fill it with like gooey yellow orange lava, and they scored it up so it like makes everything slippy, and you have to navigate the obstacle course. And Best Friends did it, and when Orange
I forgot about that.
His
I think I did see that.
Yeah, his hand goes in Terminator style.
I almost definitely saw that. Yes. Okay.
I wonder if Orange is a Terminator fan and did that on purpose.
Definitely. Yeah. Now, I understand that would irk you, but he does ask, John does ask later, like, hey, would that melt this stuff? Imagine if it wouldn't.
Yeah, you're fucked.
and so they're like, and then they throw it, and then it just like splashes and floats away, and it's like, oh, we gotta go get that.
Yeah.
Like then you're screwed. Then the whole thing is kind of just moot at that point, and then it's like, well, now we gotta go get that, and we have to run away from him, and we have to figure out where Arnold went.
I'm eating the shotgun at that point. I mean, if I throw it in and he just like dives in and pulls it out, I'm like,
well,
yeah. And so anything
I
for
have a
you?
theory about his pain. I have a theory about the throes of
Oh,
pain
go
while
ahead.
he's in there, and he sounds like a dying bird and all that. So one of the theories that I've read is the only way that would work if you were to say, I want to build a liquid metal robot. For that to work, it would have to be one thing and one thing only, pretty much, and that is nanobots, like like millions and millions and millions of microscopic robots. That, because there's millions of them and they're microscopic, it's basically like a liquid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine that this is one system, one cybernetic organism made of a million tiny lives, and now all of them are dying.
Okay.
It's going to be panic mode, and it's going to be throws like that, and it's going to turn back into the cop, and then it's going to have a motorcycle helmet again.
It's almost like a chemical reaction more than a feeling.
Yes, because each one of them is now, each of those little is now doing its thing, trying to get, trying to whatever, and they're, at that point, it's panic mode because it's receiving all of that data because it senses injuries on the data. You could call the data pain. The data could be called pain. It's receiving all of that data so fast, all at once. Imagine the number of calculations, the number of things. There's a scene in the Sarah Connor Chronicles where it talks about like the slow death of a Terminator, because it's making millions and millions and millions of calculations and thoughts and things at a time. So you shut that thing down, you turn it off versus blow it up. You turn it off, and that power down sequence takes 5 seconds. Yeah. But millions of calculations shutting down in 5 seconds is, okay, here's a million calculations, and then a millisecond later, now it's 999,999 calculations. And then a millisecond later, it's 999,988. So it's a super duper slow death because it's dwindling and dwindling and dwindling and dwindling over those 5 seconds. This is an immeasurable number of tiny, tiny deaths.
Yeah.
And that's the throes of pain.
So overall,
not a doctor.
Yeah. Overall, what is your biggest takeaways from this movie, and how many computer chips would you give it out of a score of 5?
Out of 5. Ooh, so takeaways are this could have been the perfect end to the whole story. As we know, there are 4 more movies, so it's not. But it could have been the perfect end. But I love that it plays with fate, and that there's the whole deal of there's no fate but what we make, while all of this stuff was theoretically predetermined leading up to it. If the time travel stuff doesn't happen to stop things from happening, to make their own fate, they don't even get to this point.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no fate but what we make, but we're making exactly the fate that has been determined already. And about this because, August 9th, and it's approaching, and it's still theoretically going to happen until the very, very end. They throw the arm in, they throw the chip in, they get rid of the one last chip with the thumbs up, and the T-1000's nothing. It's all gone. So that is when they finally chop off. That's when they cut the end of the film. Done. Everything after that, blank slate.
Yeah.
It's Sarah's speech at the end. For the first time in 10 years or however long, life is like a, black highway, and they have no idea where they're going next.
Yeah.
So if you think you're you're stuck in a set path, if you're stuck in whatever, just wait. Yeah. Just wait. Eventually you'll take that action. Eventually you're going to throw that chip in, and eventually we're going to ignore that there's another arm in the steel mill somewhere. We're going to ignore that.
There was 2 arms. I don't know why there's 2 arms. There was a head. There was a lot of body parts left, not just the arm and the chip.
We're gonna ignore that. Oh no, I mean the steel mill at the end. This movie's arm. Got his arm in the gear.
Oh, yeah. It's just sitting.
Nope.
Oh, son of a
Nothing.
bitch.
There's nothing there. It's not there. It's not there. It's not there. We're ignoring that. We're ignoring that.
And out of 5 computer chips, what are you giving it?
11.
11. You're going off the scale.
5. 11 out of 5. No, 5. I'll be fair. 5. I definitely give it 5.
Perfect score.
Perfect score. Absolutely. 100%. It's got its flaws. It's got its things. I could still, if it was, you're going to a desert island and you could bring food, water, and one thing, it's Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Okay. I'm not going to
like
go perfect, but I'm going to give it a 4.
and a DVD player.
A 4 is as close to perfect for me because I really protect that 4. So for me to give it the 4, I think it definitely does it. And for overall takes for me, just CGI, the CGI and what they were able to pull off with camera tricks and just the small details, how you were talking about, set this movie apart. Like, and kind of what I went back before is it might be, and I'd have to research this and look into it, but it's got to be the best sequel of all time. It's critically acclaimed for being the best sequel of all time. But I also feel like for how good the sequel was, it makes you also appreciate Terminator 1 even more.
Definitely.
And that's what a good sequel should do. Like a good sequel should be like, yo, that was so good. It made me love part 1 even more because I know what's coming. If that makes, you know what I mean? Like
and it's your classic.
A good sequel shouldn't overshadow the first movie. It should enhance this first movie to make you want to like them both cohesively.
Yeah, it's also your classic James Cameron move, or at least 80s and 90s James Cameron move of here's this first movie and it's very dark and it's very like horror-esque. It's tech noir, but it's very horror-esque. It's very frightening. And it's slow and it's plotting and it's methodical and it has its action scenes and it has its exciting scenes, but it's tense. Then you ramp up that tension, but you turn it into this sci-fi action masterpiece. And it's the very same thing he did with Aliens versus Alien. He didn't make Alien, of course, but when he made Aliens, he took it a completely different direction. The music is completely different. The action is completely different. The environment completely different. So you can still appreciate both of them so much because they're so different. Nothing gets overshadowed. Nothing gets crapped on. And then Terminator, same thing. Slow, plotting, dark, methodical. And then the second.
Yeah. So I have another thing on the future of content for this channel that not cool, and I want to do brackets. I want to put brackets of like different, the ones I have written down are Adam Sandler movies. I've put all the Adam Sandler movies in 2 brackets and who meets in the middle, King of the Ring style. I have Mark Wahlberg movies because I'm a Mark Wahlberg mark, and I have Will Ferrell. But I feel like when we break down franchises, we could do a James Cameron bracket easily.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, you forget some of the stuff he's made.
Exactly. And
like you think about James Cameron.
Yeah. That might be a bracket. That might be a bracket episode. So takeaways. I know you kind of said before about, what this movie means to you, but what have you learned from this movie, this piece of pop culture? You kind of saying before of like, when the chip falls and you're just starting, like you think you're hitting your end game. And I'm not trying to paraphrase your future thing, but what I got out of what you just said is like you even when in life where you feel you hit your goal, you're just dropping the chip into the lava, and now you're starting. You're starting your next chapter. Like you for what you think might be your conclusion is the beginning to your start. You know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah. So is there anything else you want to add to that? What you learned from this? What a big takeaway for you?
No, I think that sums it up great. Like what, even if you're going through without a plan in general, because I know you just correct?
Yeah.
So what was their plan with the arm and the chip?
To destroy it, so it would hopefully stop the events of Skynet in the future.
But how the hell were they going to do it?
Yeah.
They just took it and ran. I mean, maybe they were going to do it right there in the building with all the explosives that they set up, but what was that going to do? You see what the Terminator was in a fuel truck in the first movie. That arm that they were trying to blow up blew up in a fuel truck in the first movie. It was fine.
Yeah.
So what was their plan? Take it, run, figure it out as they go, and then accidentally they crash into a steel mill. Cool. There's your opportunity right there. You might just crash into it on accident.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, all this predetermined stuff, all this stuff you're stuck in, is happening. And then, oops, steel mill. Good thing he chased us here in that liquid nitrogen truck.
Yeah. And I think my biggest takeaway is if you're a Terminator, just stay away from fuel trucks. Like if you're going to hijack a vehicle, don't do fuel trucks anymore. Just like stay away from those. They're problematic.
Truck with any liquid in it, just skip it.
Yeah.
Skip
it. Yeah.
There's other vehicles out there.
Yeah. Take something else. Not a good one.
Right.
My biggest takeaway from this is the human element of it, right? We always say that technology is scary. Social media is scary. Because it's so oftenly shown for us of the negatives it can be. If technology, if social media, if art is used in the context it was supposed to be used in, it's just as healing and uplifting and as powerful as it can be used in its negative form as well. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for me in this one is for how scary technology was with liquid nanobot Terminator chasing you down, that we as humans were still able to work aside this bot by reprogramming him and using him for the right reasons. And he almost became part of our world. Like a part of him didn't want to terminate, but he knew the overall goal was there. But he grew attachment to these two. He genuinely cares about these two things, and not because he's programmed to, is because he started to learn to love humans and depend on them as much as we depend on technology.
Yeah. And that's why he's Mother of the Year.
He really is. He's the overall everything of the year. Arnold won me over so far. For someone who was not a giant Arnold fan of acting, like I would see Arnold, I'm like, I don't want to see another Arnold movie. I'm falling in love with Arnold in 2024. Maybe problematic, I don't know. But I'm falling in love with Arnold through the Terminator franchise. Who would have thunk?
As you should.
Yeah. Oh man. So what do you think of the new format? Do you think it was better than the scene by scene breakdown?
I think it definitely got me to shut up a lot easier. Through scene by scene, the T-1000 and the Terminator would not have crossed paths yet if we were going through scene by scene. You chose the right time and the right film to do the new format.
Yeah.
But no, I think it works.
I did too. I think I have to still fine tune a little bit, but I appreciate you helping me do this. The big thing, do you have any, we kind of talked a little bit about it, but we can kind of wrap up with this, is do you have any Terminator 2 show and tell, or do you know any fun facts or quirky things about this movie that maybe other people don't know?
A lot. I know a stupid amount about this movie.
Give us some good ones.
I did do all of my Terminator show and tell after the first one. I did do all of it there, so I got all of that out of the way. No, I mean, there's the twins thing where they cast a number of twins so that they could do that. We didn't even talk about riding the Harley with the 1887 shotgun that he's cocking with one hand, lever action style. That is Arnold on that bike doing that, and he is just tearing his fingers apart trying to learn, and he has to do that, look around and look cool, like without blinking or anything, like we talked about, and drive this bike to do it. There's one very famous scene where he has snatched John off of the thing, and then he goes and he jumps off of the ledge of something, and then he lands, and like the bike bounces a few times, in the drain scene.
Yeah. And
he's on the Harley. He does that. The most blatant stunt double in the history of film, and nobody cares. You're too busy just watching how cool it is.
When the guy came through the wall, I seen it didn't look like Arnold when he busts through the wall, when he shoots the wall with the grenade launcher to get Sarah out of that room.
And he's when he bursts through by hand or when he shoots it with the grenade launcher.
Well, he burst through by hand when he burst by hand.
Yeah, I feel like that's not Arnold or Linda Hamilton in that scene because there's so much like flying all over the place. Oh my God, we talk about Miles Dyson and just that whole deal. I think one of my favorite fun facts is the movie took so long to shoot that Edward Furlong, who plays John Connor, his voice dropped while they were filming. So they had to do ADA for all the like early shoot stuff so that it would match up in the end, except one scene did not do ADA with his like changed voice for one scene. And it's the scene under the truck where the Terminator is doing maintenance on the truck, and John is talking about human emotion and why humans cry and feelings and that sort of stuff. They left his baby voice.
When they're in the car talking, it doesn't sound like the audio matches the rest of the audio. Now that you're saying that, when I'm watching, I'm like, why does it sound like maybe like I thought like we had someone just go in and re-record it and then just dubbed it over. But it sounded dubbed in a lot of different scenes. That makes sense. He hit puberty. That's crazy.
Yep. While they were filming.
Wow.
Because it took something like 9 months to film it, and they just got him at just the right time, I guess. That he was also noticeably taller by the time they finished filming versus when they started filming, to the point that there was a scene with Linda Hamilton where they had to dig for him to stand in it.
Okay.
In the scene so that he would appear shorter.
So I only really know him.
I don't know why you don't get her a stool.
And American History X, and I feel like he's a good actor, but I feel like he didn't really like take off more than I thought he probably should have.
So after Detroit Rock City,
good movie too. Great movie.
He just got kind of problematic. Did some stuff. I think he tried to lobsters from a supermarket once.
Child actor gone wrong type deal.
Yeah. Oh, he could still turn it around and turn a career out of this.
Macaulay Culkin's trying. I'm rooting for that kid.
I was thinking more like Robert Downey Jr. Like people don't think about pre-Iron Man Robert Downey Jr. People don't think about it. They just don't. Because he did some stuff, and now look at him.
Yeah.
Like Edward Furlong. Come on.
You could do this. We need another Terminator. That's what it is. Let's bring it back.
We don't.
You're like, all right, calm down.
I don't know that we need.
Stay dead.
I don't know that we need 40-year-old John Connor. Well, not again, because we got in the future one, the future version. We did get that in that future movie
of the actor of John Connor playing older John Connor, talking to a recasted Reese, telling him he has to go back into the past. Even if it's an SNL skit, we need that scene reshot.
You get that scene just with two different actors in the fifth one.
I'm so excited for that. I'm pumped
for
part 5.
You're just calling out scenes that have actually happened.
Like, all right. I'm excited. So we will definitely keep going with this franchise. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Yes, we're locked in. We're doing this franchise. It's going down. And listen, even this franchise is done. You're not dead to me. We'll find something else to talk about. I enjoy talking pop culture with you.
I'm a huge nerd, so it totally makes sense.
This is a behind the scenes of something I'm very glad through my content that I can show all of you maybe what you don't see at professional wrestling shows. On the other side of that curtain, what you're seeing is just simulated violence and simulated acting and a beautiful form of art that is being performed in front of you between those ropes and around that ring and in that arena. But behind the curtain is two people just talking Terminator. I'm just being like, realistically, behind the curtain at a wrestling show is just a bunch of theater nerds just talking about things they love and like, oh, we have to go fight. All right, let's go. Like,
Yeah.
that's literally what's happening.
You are so much more spot on than you think.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I don't have my degree in theater hanging up back there just for fun.
I watched you and your partner, Sonny, Crummels and Defarge, go out there and face the outfielders and put on some of the best performances of your career. And before you hit the curtain, you're talking pop culture. Like that's and I'm glad that we can mix the world of professional wrestling and give you guys this insight of some things that like that you're understanding more of the person, the performer, and not just learning about Mr. Defarge, the wrestler. You're learning about Mr. Defarge and his love of pop culture and movies and his favorite franchise. And I would love to talk more pop culture with you because it is an absolute blast.
Yeah, and if I get more famous for talking about this than wrestling, then so be it.
Yeah.
But if you want to come to a wrestling show and you have cool Terminator stories or cool Terminator thoughts or cool Terminator merch that you want to buy me, then like by all means, I'll be there. Don't buy me stuff. That's silly.
Yeah.
But
so I had a bunch. I used to be a Loot Crate guy. When Loot Crate used to be like I used to have so much Loot Crate stuff. And I remember I had so much Terminator stuff from Loot Crate. I wasn't into Terminator, so I put it all on Facebook and somebody was like, you have some cool Terminator stuff. I would love to buy your entire Terminator lot. And I sold it all. And I remember now I was talking to Lily as we were watching this movie and I go, I'm kicking myself. She goes, what? I said, one of the things I sold was the chip. Loot Crate made a replica chip, like movie prop replica chip from Terminator 2. And I sold it.
Yep. So
and I kind of want it back now.
Right on the other side of this camera is a wall. Right on the other side of that wall is a shelf in my living room. On that shelf is the skull that we looked at the last time. And in front of the display of that skull is that chip from that Loot Crate.
I love those small pieces of a movie. I like when people are like, what is that on your keychain? You're like, oh, sit down. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah.
What's that? Well, it's from this. You ever seen that?
Yeah, this is the prop. And you're like, oh my God, it's I have a multi-pass. Keychain.
It's on the other side of that wall right there is a lamp. Hanging from that lamp is the multi-pass. Yeah. I had Loot Crate for like 6 years.
Yeah, it was such a good service. Is it still a thing?
Yeah, I believe so. After
is it
so
good
after
still?
Funko decided they were going to sue them, and they kind of went downhill a little bit from there. They gradually started to like rebuild and stuff, and it started to get really interesting again because there were times that because of their like financial issues, you would get a shirt like they promised, and then everything else that they sent was like 2-dimensional. So it was like, okay, here's a poster, and here's a thing of stickers, and here's a 2-page comic, and here's an 8x10, and then everything, and then it was shirts.
Yeah, it always had a good pin. It had a good pin. It had a good shirt.
They did always have loot pins. They always had loot pins, yes.
A good pin, good shirt, and it always had like one cool prop. And there was Loot Crate, there was Loot Crate Anime, there was Loot Crate WWE. It was called Slam Crate. They had a horror crate. Like, I might, now that I'm getting some steady paychecks, I might have to resubscribe to Loot Crate and give it a try for a month or two.
So I first of all, I'm holding up the mini tripod that my phone is on right now. I'm holding it up with a notebook I got from Loot Crate. I was just looking around the room like there's got to be something in here from Loot Crate that's within reach.
I sold so much Loot Crate stuff in my yard sale this week. So much stuff.
There you go. That's Loot Crate right there.
Yeah, I have a Rick and Morty statue where it's Rick double burden, and it's a statue of him on the stand, and it's him on the double burden. I have that as a Loot Crate item. I have Pro Wrestling Crate, which is kind of like Loot Crate but made by Pro Wrestling Tees.
Loot Crate.
Yeah, well, great service.
All over my desk.
Loot Crate, if you guys want to sponsor us, we'll both take the sponsorship.
Unless you find out my real name and you find out our history, because I have a bad story about when I canceled Loot Crate.
Oh yeah.
So just if you want to sponsor this, just don't look into who I am.
Yeah. He's Mr. Defarge and only Mr.
I'm Mr. Defarge.
Yeah.
So
And because he's Mr. Defarge, make sure you check his links below. Follow them on social media, as well as buy merchandise. Go buy his wares, whether you're at a show or online.
I just created a Facebook page today. Go find it. I have 0 followers, 0 interactions, and 1 photo. Go find it.
Who's going to be the first thumbs up on
You're doing it right now, aren't you? You're doing it right now, aren't you?
I'm going to say I'm going to be the first, but I know somebody in this chat's going to beat me to it. I already know it, because by the time I post and do my thing and get ready, it's going to be someone's on it probably right now. So I'm going
to Facebook right now to see.
Yeah, it's probably already being done. I guarantee someone's on their phone and making this a thing. Is it just called Sonny Defarge?
Yeah, it's just Sonny Defarge. It's an athlete page.
And like I said, we have some cool things going on when it comes to the logos. So maybe we can get some cool Sonny Defarge doors opening. Lily's already taking claim. I think she's saying that was her.
That was going to be my guess. Was it's going to be you or it's going to be Lily?
Yeah, Lily did it. But
it
thank
says
you
one
guys.
like.
Yep.
It was so recent I can't even see it yet.
Yeah.
It's say 1.
There it is. Go follow on Facebook. We're going to be doing more of this content. Thank you so much again. I love doing this with you. I love chatting with you.
I love doing this.
Yeah, it's a really good time. We have more coming up. I know tomorrow I'm kind of playing catch up when it comes to content and things going on. So tomorrow I will be doing a podcast with Hardcore. He's a hardcore deathmatch wrestler on the Northeast side. He does a lot of crazy things, and I can't wait to dive into him and learn more about that crazy world of deathmatch wrestling. Well, how do you feel about deathmatch wrestling? It scares the shit out of me.
I think it's definitely it's got an audience. It's not my kind of pro wrestling. Not that I don't like to watch it. Not that I don't know that I would do it. But only because I'm not a deathmatch wrestler.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could do let's call it genre. I don't know that I would do the genre justice. I think if a Sonny Defarge deathmatch announced and people were excited about it, I would immediately feel guilty. I'd be like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I want to
go.
You
never know. I got creative in that match with Brian Ace. So
yeah, knows? I really I met Hardcore a few times, and we've chatted on social media, and I generally like him as a human. Like, I love him to death. He's super cool. But I have not researched any of his matches, because once I develop that attachment to you, I don't want to see you take a thumbnail, like a thumbtack, or a barbed wire with razor blades on it to the back. Like, he sent me photos of his back after he put razor blades in a baseball bat, like candy apple style, on you know what I mean, and took it. And I'm just like, no, I don't know if I can watch that. I don't like watching someone get dropped on their head, let alone doing it on purpose.
Here's the other funny part of why. One of the other reasons why I don't know that I would do it. That's not a never, but why I don't know that I would do it is like the pain and the taking and the doing stuff during the match. For me, I'm like, yes, I don't want to deal with the cleanup and the maintenance. Like, who's going to continuously wash and disinfect my back?
Yeah. Disinfect? What are you talking about? This deathmatch wrestling. You go out and you roll dirt on it. That's what you do. You leave them, then you go outside and you're rolling the dirt.
I mean, through the healing process. Who's gonna keep that clean? And how many sets of sheets am I gonna go through? You know,
these are all questions I'm going to ask now. You're helping me.
Write them down. Write them down.
I'm writing them down.
And then I'll tune in.
Yeah.
Live.
Here's a question. Who is someone that, if they challenge you to a deathmatch hardcore style wrestling match, who would be that guy that you respect enough or would want to enter that world to go toe to toe with them in that style of professional wrestling?
Ricochet Page.
Okay.
Like right away, because I would trust him to try to kill me, but not kill me.
Gotcha. It's fun. That's a fun answer. But we have so much content. We have another horror movie. I don't have a thumbnail made for this one, but another horror movie review coming this Thursday with Courtney returning back for Terrifier 2. And then I have some really good interviews throughout the week, the rest of this month. just for a pride aspect, I've interviewed now a drag queen, a drag king, and because I have fallen in love with drag monsters and that whole Dragula scene, I'm interviewing my first drag monster.
Did you watch Dragula because I told you to?
I watched Dragula because I stumbled across it on. So I went to my first drag show and I said, all right, this is fun. I had a good time. And I said, like, is there, because I started learning that drag is like professional wrestling. There is different niches, there's different styles, there's different like there's comedy wrestling, there's comedy drag, there's hardcore, there's filth, there's punk, there's horror, and and then they said you should check out on Shudder Dragula. I watched season 1 almost an entire one night. I was hooked. It's the best thing
I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch the Terminator pod. I swear I told you to watch that. That pod.
We talked about it, but even before that episode, I was already a season in.
Okay.
I believe that's what we talked about. Yeah.
Okay.
Great stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I do remember talking about it. That's
So like another thing with drag, and I'm gonna sound super dumb, but I am also a cis white male gender dude from Pennsylvania in the coal hole region. I thought like there was rules to drag. Like I didn't think you could be a female and do drag. I didn't think so I'm learning so much about this scene. And I'm absolutely loving it because it's like almost like refinding professional wrestling for the first time because it's a cool art form that's also physical and they tell a story while they perform. I'm obsessed with it. I think it's so much fun.
Have you seen any drag wrestling yet?
No. I'm stoked.
The
only drag performer I know is Polo Del Mar. Like a drag queen in professional wrestling on NWA and some GCW appearances.
I'm gonna have to have my partner. I'll have to remember to ask her, and she can tell me, and I can message you, or she can message you. But there is a whole company that we looked into after or during the last season of Dragula, where we were just watching promos from the kings and queens. And we were just soaking it up, and I was just we were like throwing gimmick ideas at each other. She's known her drag gimmick her entire career. So
forget hardcore wrestling. What's your drag name?
I think I came up with several, but it would take a lot of working and a lot of workshopping to make it make sense. And to make it right, and to make sure that I didn't just look like I was being a poser. I really wanted to do this.
Yeah.
I really wanted to do it. I wasn't just dressing and drag to do it. I would have to do the work, come up with a persona, and make it happen.
Here's a thing I'm going to throw out in the universe, and this podcast has spawned a lot of wrestling matches between people that I'm very proud of, that I think this podcast doesn't get enough love and credit for. But there's a matchup I'd love to see you in regardless to this. But now that I know this is a venue that you're also into, and this professional wrestler has done drag and has done drag in a wrestling style venue, Mr. Defarge versus J.S. Hawthorne.
Okay. Yeah.
I think stylistically, you guys would be a really, really good matchup. But also, if you add this drag element too, if that's something you want to dive into in a drag performance style thing, I'd watch that also.
We'll do a series.
Yeah.
We'll do a series. We'll do a straight wrestling match.
High tension.
We'll do a straight wrestling match. Then we'll do a drag match. Then we'll do a death match just for fun. Yeah,
already saying Hawthorne. So Lucha Underground, good call, Lily, did have drag, but it wasn't in my opinion, at least, or maybe I'm wrong, but there is glam wrestling where it's like a male kind of does that glam look, but I don't think it was really defined as drag. I thought it was like, I think wrestling had a different terminology for it. Like the old Spanish, like luchadores wrestlers, where it's the males and they prevent very feminine, like almost like who was the first guy to really do that back in the day? I'm having a I mean, technically it's still drag, but Gorgeous George.
Are you thinking of Gorgeous George?
Gorgeous George, yeah. It wasn't defined as drag, but it was very, it toted the line.
It was close.
Yeah.
It was close
I know
enough.
Vampiro. When you watch Lucha Underground, Vampiro says the style that it's called, because in Mexican culture and Spanish culture, when they do that style wrestling, they have it's not just luchadores or that it's a terminology for that style wrestler where it's mostly male presenting, doing the community, like presenting its community and doing the glam style. It was Lucha Underground season 1. I have to go back and do that. But yeah, thank you again. I'm gonna close this out because we'll just find another topic and go on another ADHD. This is why I love chatting with you. Yeah, but
I do this from the Midwest. So
and here it is. In Lucha Libre and Exotica is a luchador male wrestler, huh? Exotico. That's what they call it. Exotico wrestling in luchador community. An exotico is almost like a drag performer wrestler.
Oh, okay.
We're learning.
I'm looking it up myself too.
Yeah, so I love it. Yeah, so when I get that link, I will definitely share it with you about the drag wrestling if that's something you all are into. But yeah, the Terminator sequel had a great Stone Cold villain. I totally agree. That make sure you rewind Daniel Garcia. And what if that is actually the Daniel Garcia? I would mark out Pro Wrestling Daniel Garcia tuned in to talk Terminator with us. But yeah. Love that guy. But yeah, we're gonna wrap up here. Thank you guys so much once again hanging out with us. Not Cool in High School. ABJ, Mr. Defarge, links below. Follow us on social media. Show this love, and we'll see you guys on the next one. We're at it.
Terminator 3.
This is an ABJ podcast production. Join us. Would you kindly join us at the Cult of ABJ Discord community? We'll see you there. Join us.